Well, good morning. How are you all doing? I hope you are doing well. Well, this morning I'm doing some work in the den, some cleaning and packing, and I started to pack up some of my trophies and plaques. And seeing that I probably won't be displaying most of them anymore, I thought I'd share them with you. The plaques aren't that bad, but trophies are just basically dust collectors. There's a lot of work to clean, and just sometimes it's just more aggravation than it's worth. So, seeing that I won't be displaying most of them anymore, just thought I'd share them. Uh, these here are from my Camaro in the early years when I first got it, early 2000s. Um, these ones here are all first place and best in show at car shows. The last two there are a couple second places that I got. These here are a couple of the best paint, which is pretty good actually. I mean, the car was in really good shape and a top-notch paint job done to it, but to keeping it looking as good as it was, the way the car has been abused during this time. I mean, drag raced, street raced, burnout competitions, and the paint still looked good enough through all that to get best paint, which is pretty good. Now this one here is one that I'm really pretty proud of. Boy, I tell you, a lot of hard work went into getting this monster. This one here was, we had a chassis dyno and in the area, and they have competitions and to find out it's not the most horsepower, it's the most horsepower per cubic inch. And I can't remember the exact numbers, but this was back in the day, and I think, well, I got first place for naturally aspirated, the most horsepower per cubic inch, naturally aspirated. And it was only like a 350 cubic inch, and I can't remember the exact numbers. I think it was right around a little over 400 horsepower at the tire. I mean, I know a lot of you sit there and right now and are thinking, 400 horsepower at the tire, that's nothing. But we're talking like 18 years ago, that was a pretty good number back then. But now with all this LS stuff and everything else, you can make that doing nothing. But back in the day, boy, I tell you, you had to do some good work and some engine tuning to get a little over 400 at the tire. So I actually remember that day. Boy, I didn't think I was going to get it because it was middle of August, I think it was. Real hot, humid, and as a bunch of the guys on here know that work on engines, making power with all that humidity, carburetors don't burn water real well. So it was a struggle to get the carburetor right, but we got her. Now here's one of the things that I probably always will have out and displayed. Back in the day, at a car show, I had one of our Canadian magazines came around and wanted to do a feature on my car. And that I was pretty proud of that. I mean, I remember being a little kid, well, not really little, but teens and stuff like that, and looking at Super Chevy magazines at the first generation Camaros. And you know how we all are at that age that, I'm going to have one of them. And that's what I always said. I always looked at the first generation Camaros and I just fell in love with them. And I read every article. And I was determined from that day on that I was going to have one, and I was going to have one to be in the magazine. Now, this is a Canadian-based magazine, so it's not like Super Chevy, Popular Hot Rodding, or any of those like world-renowned ones, but it's still pretty cool. I mean, at the age I was to go out and buy a first generation Camaro, I would have been, well, that would have been 20 years ago, so I would have been early 20s. And to go out and buy one, cash money in hand, I worked damn hard to come up with that money. I got a bunch of these copies. I'll show you one out of the frame maybe sometime if I remember. I got them all packed up now. There's some pictures of the car. That was shortly after I got it painted. It was in really good shape when I got it, but it wasn't up to my standards, so I tore it all apart, and I had a friend paint it and base clear, and then then I put it back together, and at this time it had a little 360 cubic inch small block Chev. That one right there, that was a picture taken from our burnout competitions. At our local car show every year we have a burnout competition. We have different classes. We have valid MVI rear wheel drive, valid MVI front wheel drive, a junker class which is not MVI, truck, and then we have a race and performance. So this being a street legal car, it was in the valid MVI rear wheel drive. And as you can see, she would smoke the tires. The way this worked was you'd be in the car. They'd have it strapped down for safety reasons, just so it couldn't get away. Because most of the cars didn't have line locks or anything like that. And they'd put a string around your arm, and they'd stand back at quite a distance, like 12 feet or something like that, and just so they didn't get hit by anything if something went wrong. And they'd have a stopwatch, and you'd have 30 seconds, a maximum of 30 seconds. When your 30 seconds was up, they'd pull on the string, letting you know it was time to stop. Because most times you were covered in smoke and you couldn't see hand gestures or anything. So first place was $500, and the old girl was undefeated. I believe we did it 4 times, and the profits, there was no profit in it because 30 seconds, I would just annihilate a brand new set of BF Goodrich tires. So $500 covered to bring another new set of tires, and I had enough for a hamburger at McDonald's. But yeah, I'm pretty happy and proud of that. I mean, how many people can make their dreams come true and then have their car featured in a magazine? Pretty cool. And here's a couple plaques and trophies from those burnout competition wins. 05 and 6, 7 and 8. Those were with the Camaro with, like I said, the little 360 cubic inch small block Chevy. And the second place one was the race and performance class. One of the times I entered the Mustang. And I know a lot of people there are on here saying, oh, 30 seconds, that's nothing. Well, yeah, with the little motor that was in the Camaro, the little 360, that wasn't a real overly expensive motor. Pretty basic stuff, middle of the road. But now when you get into the race and performance stuff, I mean, you got Chevy powered Fox 555 and T. Sully and Michigan Muscle Car Garage. I mean, when you get into them high-end race engines, I mean, we're talking like a 9-second drag car engine and 10.0 in the quarter mile engines. They know the cost and the work and stuff that goes into them. Now, you sit there with a motor that you have that much money in and you're standing on it for 30 seconds. To those people that don't realize and just can sit there and say, oh, well, that's nothing, you don't realize when you're sitting there, that's a lifetime. I just for the hell of it, sit there and pretend and and look at your watch and just use your foot as a gas pedal and just actually see how long 30 seconds is. And I'll tell you, we all go in with a plan. Like I said, with the little motor for the Camaro, it wasn't a real big deal if I blew it up. But I mean, when you got high dollar dart heads, Giselle shaft rockers, roller cams, you break a valve spring, I mean, you're done, right? I mean, you got a pile of junk. You walk away with a carburetor pretty much. And so like I was saying, you go in with a plan that you're going to turn her up like 65, maybe hit 7, turn the chip down for the top end so you can hit the rev limiter to make it sound good. And you always go in saying, I'm gonna baby it. I'm just gonna play around, hit the chip a couple times. But you get in there and you fire that up, and for the brief few seconds that you can see out in the stands, and you got people standing up cheering, and that plan goes right out the window. You just like go into like show off mode, and it's just like you just hammer it and you just beat on it, and when they pull that string, you're saying, what the fuck was I thinking? And luckily never blew anything up, never heard anything, so I was pretty lucky. But it's pretty fun, and if you go back through my videos, you'll see a lot of them burnout competitions. And the plan was to have the Camaro back and running for this year, for the first time in 12 years that it's been in the burnout competition. But as we all know, 2020, everything is shut down, so maybe next year. And here's a couple plaques, couple first place plaques I got from the Maritime Camaro Club at a couple of their shows, for Best Modified First Generation, and for the smart ass people out there, trolls. No, there wasn't only 1 or 2 cars there. There was a lot of really, really nice stock, original and modified, and I got a couple here for Best Modified for my Camaro, and then there's a second place one there that I got somewhere else. A lot of hard work. And here's a couple of plaques and stuff I got with the Fox Body race car over the years. There's a couple first places there, and there's a second place there for Super Pro, which is around here, which is a 1099 and quicker class. I have a bunch of second place, first place, just some of the stuff I got. And I'll tell you, that's a hard class. I mean, like I said, it's 1099 and quicker, so I mean, you got everything from a high 10-second door car to a 7-second door car and dragsters. And bracket racing is pretty fun. I know a lot of the people on here are like Travis and Chevy Powered Fox 555 and T Sully. I know they do a lot of, I know Chevy Powered Fox 555 does a lot of heads-up racing. I'm not sure what T Sully does, if he bracket races or heads up or both. And I think Michigan Muscle Car Garage, Herb there, I think he does bracket racing too. He may do some heads up stuff, but it's a pretty fun. And Super Pro is pretty competitive. I mean, you got to be pretty much right on the tree. I mean, anything if you got anything more slower than, say, an 020 light, boy, you better run your number bang on, or you don't have very much of a chance. Now this one here is something that I'm really proud of, and quite an accomplishment. Around here we have a series, Heads Up Pro Tree. It's index racing. It's 890, 990, and 1090. It's a circuit that goes around, and it's at each one of our maritime tracks at least once a year. Some tracks it's there twice. I entered it twice. I was runner. I had my Mustang, which is a mid. At that time, it was a mid. The first time it was a mid 10 second. The second time it was a low 10 second car, and I ran 1090 class. I got runner up, second place, both times I entered. And both times I had mechanical failure in the finals. That I'm not saying I could have won, but we had a really good chance. But we had a shifter failure, and I can't remember what the second one was. But a lot of fun. And the first time we entered, we got number one qualifier, and I tell you, that was quite the accomplishment for the first time doing it. I mean, you got some of the best index racers there are around, and you go out there and you be number one qualifier with all of them. That's an accomplishment. I mean, we have people that travel to the States and everything else that do the hot rod, super gas, and it's quite an accomplishment. And at that time, when I got this number one qualifier, I can't remember the exact number, but it was a 1090 with, it was either a 2 or a 3. And everyone else in the class had all these electronic throttle stops, whether it be a linkage or a base plate type, air or electric. And some people had the restrictor plate type, and all I had was a simple bolt. I just used a threaded bolt as a positive stop from my throttle linkage, and after making a few passes, we just slowly dialed it in, and we were right down to, it's amazing what one flat and of course you got six flats on a hex bolt. It's just amazing that what you can do with one or two flats. No different than a suspension when you adjust your preload or stagger or whatever with flats on your rod ends. That was quite an accomplishment. Anyway, I know this wasn't a real exciting video about working on cars or whatever, and not very interesting, but you know, that's what I've been doing lately. I haven't been able to do a whole lot of other stuff, and I've been doing some cleaning and packing, and like I said earlier, seeing that I won't be having the majority of these displayed anymore, and they're just going to be tucked away in boxes and probably never see the light of day again. I just figured I'd do a little video, and if anything else, I always have the video to go back on and look at them instead of digging them out of a box. Anyway, I hope you're all having an enjoyable summer, well, as much as can be expected with all this COVID-19 bullshit on the go, ruining everything. But anyway, hope you're all staying safe, and we'll talk to you later. See ya.